Hello, my name is Jolene McBeth, and I wrote and published The Insider's Guide to Campground Hosting in Florida Parks. A long title, I know, but that was into 2014 after my mom and I had spent 6 months traveling around the state visiting various state parks for a few days or a week and moving on. Sadly, our traveling budget got swallowed up pretty quickly, so we decided to give work camping a try. Our very first assignment was way over on the panhandle. Then our second was in the middle of the state. In between the two places, we were almost swamped by an incoming tropical storm before we could leave the area, but made it halfway to our next destination until our engine blew something kind of important and refused to move any further. Thankfully, the volunteer coordinator was very understanding when it took us a month to get the dang thing fixed again and us on the road to them. When we arrived there, the dang thing conked out again, and one of the other volunteers had to tractor us into our volunteer campsite. It took us another 2 months to try and figure out how to fix that uh, before our next assignment, which was in Southwest Florida. But I digress. Dade Battlefield Historical State Park is a great place to start your career at being a volunteer work camper in the Florida State Park system. Since they do not have campsites for any visitors, then you are called a residential host. This little park encourages local people to join the Dade Battlefield Society, so they have a pool of volunteers for as many of their historically themed events as possible. Mostly, it is a lot of grunt work where they set up for events, participate as actors or demonstrators, help with parking, or just clean up afterwards. We were offered the position of special projects volunteer while we were there, which started out with us painting the new park ranger's house before he and his family arrived. Let me tell you, that was a learning experience for both Mom and I. In between painting, we were asked to participate with pioneer classes that the volunteer coordinator had once a month. Sometimes we would demonstrate how to make corn husk dolls or sit at the gatehouse and collect the entrance fees. When we arrived, there were two other residential hosts as singles. Was a carpenter and regular handyman, and the other was an electrician handyman, and he worked cleaning the bathrooms and maintained all the equipment in buildings. They also did most of the setup and cleanup before and after each of the events. Later, another two volunteers came in and helped with the lawn maintenance and the park activities. The last month of our stay, a family arrived and they split the gatehouse events participation duties with us. The park had spaces for 6 RVs and was getting pretty full when we left because their major event of the year is the Seminole and American Soldier Battle. The state wants these little parks to host more paying activities, and this one does a lot already. While we were there, they had the Kids Pioneer Crafts Festival, the Haunted Halloween Hayride, Christmas Pioneer Crafts Festival, and Pioneer Crafting classes each month, along with the regular ranger programs. The local schools even had kids come in from the ROTC to practice orienteering. They got to spend the weekend. They do have regular visitors that come in to walk the paths, kids to play on the playground, weddings, photographers taking pictures of large oak trees, and weddings. Our first event was the Kids Pioneer Crafts Festival. There were over 350 homeschooled public and private school children running around and between each of the booths learning about pioneer life. Mom was sick that day and couldn't help me. The very next day, I felt like I had the flu and was down for a couple of days myself. For the Pioneer Haunted Hayride, the park borrowed a couple of trams from Weeki Wachee Springs State Park to run everybody around the park. There was a Seminole war party dancing next to the fire, a black-clothed old sawbones cutting off body parts, a pioneer family yelling and running around, moaning ghosts from the battle in the woods next to the stream, a gun-firing pioneer coming out at you in the dark, and a little old pioneer woman ghost stuck in the outhouse. There were a lot of people coming through that night. This is the first time I drove a truck with a trailer behind me. I was so afraid I was going to run off the little bridge, but it wasn't me who did, ha ha ha. No one was hurt. That was after Mom and I had created about 400 sandwich bags filled with sand and candles and then placed them all along the paths to light the trails. The next day, we had to go around picking all those up and empty them out. That was fun. The final event was the Pioneer Crafts event, where Mom and I helped the participants to make more corn husk dolls. Don't forget that each of these events we had to dress up in some sort of costume. The other volunteers helped the participants to make rag dolls, clothespin dolls, carved soap, punch tin candle lights into cans, and much more. There was square dancing, holiday music, and lots of different crafts being made throughout the whole front of the park. In between all these events, we were also encouraged to hop on the large mower and mow some of the 40 acres of grass. Of course, the front of the park is pretty well worn down, so when you mow, you get a lot of dirt and grit. Some of the other areas, especially underneath the large oak trees, have large populations of mushrooms, so you had to wear one of those HEPA masks. But with my headphones hooked up to my MP3 player and a tank full of gas, I mowed the heck out of those areas. I did have to look out for baby rabbits hiding in the taller grass areas, though. It was fun, but hard work. As a residential volunteer at Dade Battlefield Historical State Park, you get a nice campsite with water, electric, and sewer, access to a large freezer and refrigerator space, washer and dryer, and when they worked, a golf cart for running back and forth. In exchange, you only need to work around 20 hours per week per couple. They give you at least 3 days off, and the work is varied to say the least. They have extra shower inside the garage shop, but it does have lots of hot water and terrific water pressure, but it's only a single, and it was created kind of as an afterthought. The new manager, when he arrived, was really nice and has been at the park system for a while. He wants to use more residential volunteers all year round, but of course, with the budget crunch, they are in danger of losing the residential volunteers they already have, or have them severely limited. That is so sad because the park only has one manager, 2 park rangers, and a volunteer coordinator to run the park, interact with the visitors, keep the park cleaned and maintained, and man the visitor center. The visitor center is an extremely nice place to visit. It is well worth a look if you should ever visit the park. They have relics from the 1800s, information about the battle and the area, as well as a short movie to watch. That is all included with the price of admission for $3 per carload. If you are in the Bushnell area, stop by and check it out. Today I got an email from their volunteer coordinator. In it she says, "Thanks for reaching out to us. We still have residential volunteer positions, but we're reduced to 5 now. In general, we can fill fall and winter easily, but the spring, summer months, when we do the most mowing, of course, are the hardest to fill. I don't have different job descriptions, just a general resident volunteer position that does everything from cleaning bathrooms, park maintenance, and working with festivals and events. Our gatehouse is mostly self-service now. We ideally like some handyman type of volunteers mixed with craft and interpreter type volunteers. Hope this helps, and thanks for helping in the process."
Entering the arena from the east, our color guard, carrying the American flag, Mr. Will Davis of the United States Air Force, veteran of Vietnam. Carrying the POW MIA flag, Mr. Thomas Zermino, a veteran of the U.S. Army and Vietnam.